Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I had just set the dinner table when my phone buzzed on the counter. The name flashing on the screen sent a familiar wave of unease through me, Mom. I hesitated before picking up, my fingers gripping the edge of the table for support. Something told me this wasn't going to be a pleasant conversation. "Hey, Mom," I said, forcing a lightness into my voice that I didn't feel. "Ally, honey, we need to talk about Thanksgiving," she began, her voice unusually chipper. That alone set off alarm bells. My mother was never this cheerful unless she had news she expected me to dislike. "Sure," I replied, my stomach already nodding. "What's the plan?" There was a pause, just long enough to feel unnatural. "This year we're doing things a little differently," she said finally. "It's going to be a smaller gathering, just adults. Something more intimate." I frowned. "Oh, so no kids at all?" My heart was already sinking. Emma and Lucas loved Thanksgiving at their grandparents' house, and despite the strained relationship I had with my parents, I had always hoped family traditions would mean something. Another pause. Then, more hesitantly, she admitted, "Not exactly." A cold weight settled in my chest. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice quieter now, a sharp contrast to the storm brewing inside me. Mom sighed, as if she were the one being put in an uncomfortable position. "Ally, we love your kids, really we do. But they're a bit energetic. We just feel like it would be better if you left them with a sitter this year." I gripped the phone tighter. "So just my kids? What about Daniel's?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Daniel, my older brother, the golden child, the perfect son. His children could do no wrong, unlike mine, apparently. Mom hesitated. "Daniel and Sophie are coming with their boys," she admitted. "But you know how well-behaved they are. They're just quieter, more refined. It's easier to have them at the table." A flush of heat surged up my neck. "They're just children, Mom," I said, my voice tight. "Emma is 7, Lucas is 4. Of course they have energy, but they love you. And you're telling me they're not welcome in your home?" "Ally, don't be dramatic," she said with an exasperated sigh. "It's just one dinner. You and Liam are still invited, of course." I almost laughed at the absurdity. "You mean you want me there but not the two people I love most in this world?" "We're just trying to have a peaceful evening," she snapped, irritation creeping into her tone now. "Why do you always have to make things difficult?" The words hit me like a slap. This wasn't just about Thanksgiving. This was about years of favoritism, of treating Daniel's family like royalty while mine was an afterthought. The way they never came to Emma's dance recitals, the way Christmas gifts were always a little extra for Daniel's boys. And now they weren't even hiding it anymore. My voice was steady when I finally spoke. "If my kids aren't welcome, then neither am I." A long silence stretched between us before she exhaled sharply, "Suit yourself." Then she hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, the room around me suddenly too quiet. From the living room, I could hear Emma and Lucas giggling as they built a pillow fort, completely unaware that their grandparents had just cast them aside like an inconvenience. I took a deep breath, my mind racing. I had spent my entire life trying to earn my parents' approval. But at what cost? And if I let them get away with this, what kind of message would I be sending to my children? No, I wasn't going to let them treat my family like an afterthought. They had made their choice. Now, it was time for me to make mine. I woke up the next morning to a text from my brother Daniel. It was short and laced with condescension. "Mom said you're overreacting again. Just apologize and stop being dramatic." My fingers hovered over the screen before I locked my phone without responding. There was nothing to say. The decision had already been made. By mid-morning, my mother called. I let it ring. Then she called again and again. Finally, she left a voicemail. Her voice was clipped, like she was the one who had been wronged. "Ally, I don't understand why you're being so difficult. You're still invited, you know? Just not the kids. This isn't a big deal. Just come without them." I clenched my jaw. Not a big deal. My children weren't some optional accessory I could leave behind. By lunchtime, I decided it was time to take real action. I logged into my bank account, scrolling through the transactions. There it was, dozens of charges I hadn't made. Grocery stores, gas stations, online orders. My heart pounded as I checked the name on the account. My parents had been using my credit card for years. Fury burned through me like wildfire. I had always been the reliable one, the one they called when they needed something. And now, after everything, they had the audacity to treat my children as less than family while happily spending my money. Without hesitation, I called the bank. I need to remove 2 authorized users from my account immediately. By the time I was done, I felt lighter. No more financial ties. No more obligations. I wasn't their puppet anymore. As if sensing the shift, Daniel texted again. "Mom's really upset. You're taking this too far." I exhaled sharply and typed back. They made their choice. Now I'm making mine. Then I blocked his number. A week passed in silence. No calls, no texts. I thought they had finally accepted my decision. Until my mother's name flashed on my screen early one morning. I hesitated but answered. "Oh, now you pick up," she huffed. "I need to ask you something. Did you cancel the credit card?" My stomach dropped. "What?" "Your father's card, the one we use for groceries and gas. It got declined." A slow, icy realization crept over me. "You mean my credit card?" She scoffed. "Oh, don't be dramatic, ally. We've used it for years. You make good money." I gripped the phone, my pulse hammering. Years? They had been siphoning my account without my knowledge, all while treating my children like they didn't matter. Unbelievable. I whispered. "You've been stealing from me." "Stealing?" She let out a sharp laugh. "We raised you, supported you. This is the least you could do." I'd inhaled sharply, steadying my voice. "Not anymore. Ally, don't." I hung up. Then, with shaking fingers, I logged into my account. Thousands of dollars. Charges I never authorized. They had taken from me for years, but they wouldn't take another cent. The envelope arrived 2 days later, thick and heavy, stamped with a law firm's seal. My stomach knotted as I tore it open. Reimbursement demand for financial support my parents had allegedly provided during my childhood. Tens of thousands of dollars. I gripped the letter, my breath unsteady. This was their retaliation. My phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. But a text followed from my brother. "You can't just cut them off, ally. They're our parents." I stared at the words, anger bubbling beneath my skin. Where was this loyalty when they ignored my children? When they stole from me? Minutes later, my mother called. Against my better judgment, I answered. "You're really doing this?" she hissed. "Dragging us to court?" I let out a bitter laugh. "Me? You sent me a legal demand." She exhaled sharply. "You owe us, ally. We sacrificed for you." "No," I said coldly. "I owe my children a better life than this." Silence. Then, a quiet, furious, "You'll regret this." I hung up. I had no regrets. Only resolve. This was war. The court date loomed, but I was ready. I had bank statements, transaction records, proof of every stolen dollar. My parents expected me to crumble, but they had underestimated me for the last time. The night before the hearing, my brother called. "Ally, just drop this. It's not worth it," he pleaded. I clenched the phone. Not worth it? They tried to destroy me. They tried to take my children away through the courts by terminating my parental rights as I was renting very poor housing after recently losing my job. They thought that I could not give my children everything for a normal life. "They're still our parents," he whispered. "No," I said firmly. "They stopped being parents the moment they chose money over family." Silence. Then a quiet sigh. "Then I guess this is it." The next morning they never showed up. Instead, their lawyer emailed a settlement offer. They wanted to walk away if I agreed to do the same. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Then I closed the email. I had already won. With a deep breath, I turned to my kids. "How about we go get pancakes?" They cheered, and for the first time in years, I felt free.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.